Joe Banks, the Missouri text line open 84126. You can watch us on YouTube and Facebook. Greg Willard, one of our favorite all-time guests, will be in studio at 10:35 today. We're excited about that. And then we're going to talk a little table tennis, a little ping pong, Jill.
Yeah, it's really cool. I got to read about 2/3 of the debut novel of a St. Louis person, grew up in Clayton, graduated from John Burroughs. Her name is Emily Zhao. She's the author of a new book that's getting some great reviews. She's on a national book tour. We were lucky enough to get her in today. And she has a little experience herself being a phenomenal table tennis player, and she writes a fictional novel. I'm very curious how much of this is based on her own life, but it's a really interesting book. We were on a long road trip. I'll talk a little bit about that later. Had a chance to listen to about 75% of it. Can't wait to finish it. It really hooked me.
And she's the pride of John Burroughs, is that correct?
Yep, and exactly the same age as our own Connor McCarthy, so pretty young to
21?
have.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Class of 2015, I believe. And so she's pretty young to have a debut national novel. And she also, by the way, this isn't her, she has another full-time job as well. We'll talk about that.
Did Burroughs play Clayton in football that year?
We did like a little preseason thing. That was
Ezekiel?
That was Zeke's last year, and
So you tackled Ezekiel?
I was involved in a tackle, and I went over to the stat person. And I said, "You saw me. I was in the pile, and I got credited with half a tackle."
That's something, Connor. I never knew that. That's a great skill. Boy, he was about the greatest player you ever on the field.
I think he ran for about 280 yards, and it was unstoppable.
That's
great.
That is very, very cool. You had a big weekend, Connor McCarthy. You had a wedding.
I did. I was in a wedding.
Dear friend.
I was a groomsman in a wedding on Saturday, which was great. It was a great time. Good to see a lot of people that I knew, and it was great. I think the role of the groomsman is just about the least important aspect of any wedding. You kind of show up. You're involved in about 20 minutes of the pictures, and then you kind of wait around until you stand up in front. But it was great, a great time.
Where was the wedding and reception, and how was the food?
It was at the Marriott downtown, which was funny because it was across the street from the Dome, and the Dome was hosting Comic-Con.
Okay.
So there was quite a few people walking through the bar, and Murr from the Impractical Jokers actually showed up at the wedding. We saw him the day before and asked him if he wanted to come by, and he did. And he came up and sang Frankie Valli up on the stage, and then left. So that was that was fun.
That was a good call.
Yeah.
And how was the food at the Marriott?
It was good. Yeah. You know, it's not the best meal you've ever had in your entire life, but it was a good food.
And Jill, you were in a car for 14 hours?
I was, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in opening dialogue. It was a really, really good weekend getaway for sure, and I'm very grateful for it. You can talk about your weekend coming up, or do you have anything to fill us in on now?
No, I got a lot coming up in the opening dialogue. Did spend a lot of time with the kids. I think this KK, Brooke's daughter, is like nearly perfect. Now, I don't get her at night. But during the day, does not say a word. This girl has sat through dinners at elegant restaurants, not said a word, 9 holes of golf, just perfect. But Brooke says it's a little different story when we're not around. So.
Okay, well, that's okay. I think she knows which side of her bread is buttered, KK does, and she's like, if Grandma and Grandpa think I'm perfect, that may make my life easier, so good job. Did you see the news, Savannah Bananas coming back to Busch Stadium?
How could you not?
In
it's
August,
like having opening day, as Bill DeWitt used to say, in the middle of the season.
So the Cardinals are thrilled anytime we get a draw like that. Do you think
in these times in particular? Yeah.
Well, I have to say, I mean, we talked about it quite a bit on the show, but 100% of the people I know who went to see it said that it actually exceeded their expectations, and I thought the hype from it was pretty extensive.
Yeah.
So I was a little, I guess, skeptical that it could deliver, and everybody I talked to said it was even better than they thought it would be. So it's got to be something special.
And the thing, too, is the prices are not cheap, and they still sell out. And I think a big part of it, too, though, is not just people in St. Louis. It's people from the whole region that came in. How about this? In 2025, they drew over 2.2 million fans. I don't know how many games that is. I mean, they sold out an 81,000-seat Clemson Stadium, and they had a weekend total of 148,000. Can you imagine they played 2 games in Charlotte, and they had 148,000?
Right.
That's crazy.
Well,
here it is, 115 dates and over 40 cities, and they do 2.2 million.
Wow. Well, and I think you bring up a really excellent point that that has been kind of behind the scenes. And you talk to some of the folks who are in economic development in our region, and we think about the Cards as, fans, those of us who live here every day, going down to the games and downtown and all the issues. But it's a huge draw for tourism in our city, which of course is an economic driver of our economic health in our region as well. And so we do need people to come in from out of town and spend the night in hotels and eat multiple restaurants and do all that to come to all of our sporting events. Certainly Busch Stadium and the Cardinals are one of the biggest draws. And so it's great that gives us that little infusion, and hopefully the team will give us some more sellouts and infusions and more people coming in from out of town as well next year.
Yeah, that's why they say like the Frozen Four, everybody that went to that was from out of town, and that's why it had such a huge economic impact.
Yeah, very well said.
All right, let's take our first break. When we come back, we'll have the opening dialogue. This is the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS.
One of my favorite things about our friends at Woods Basement Systems are the fact that the original owners, since almost 40 years ago, Rick and Anna Lee Woods, good people, care about family, and they have created a supportive environment not only for their own family to work in the business, but for other families and the members of their team and the people who've worked with them for years become part of their family, and they think of their customers that way as well. And it's the reason that they are Missouri and Illinois' trusted basement waterproofing and foundation repair company. If you need anything to do with basement waterproofing, you've got crawl space, which gets ignored as it does by most of us homeowners. There's foundation repair that isn't fixing itself, because by the way, it doesn't. Concrete leveling, you've got those tripping hazards or things that are causing damage to your cars out in your driveway, gutters, even things like air purifiers. If you've had basement water problems and you know that you want to make sure that the air your family is breathing is healthy, all of that done by Woods Basement System, 618-249-5489 or woodsbasementsystems.com. We've got some dry weather. Take advantage of it and reach out to them to make your appointment today.
Hey, it's John Carney. A lot of conversations with the folks over at Allen Roofing, pretty much asking advice, because I know a lot of people got smacked by that storm, and he had some great advice for people to think about. First off, be careful of who you talk to when you're going to get some work done. Make sure there's an agreement and the scope of work is laid out in that contract. Also, as you can imagine, a lot of contractors are busy. Give them some time, and you know what? Allen Roofing will come put a tarp on your roof at no charge, even if you don't use them when you get the roof repaired. Also, check the Better Business Bureau, see what the reviews are for contractors that you deal with, and also remember, insurance companies allow up to an entire year from the date of loss to file a claim. So you've got time to get those repairs done and that replacement done. Don't rush it. Just a few tips from the people that know roofing and repairs better than anyone. It's Allen Roofing, online at aroofing.net.
Want to get away in your own hometown? How about Innsbruck? Just 45 minutes from St. Louis, 7,500 acres, 100-plus lakes, 18-hole championship golf course, nature trails, event spaces, and so much more. Wedding venues, wedding weekends, corporate retreats. They've got A-frames and tree houses and custom homes. In fact, they have a fall home tour going on Saturday, October 18th from noon to 4. We'll see you there. To find out more, Innsbruck-resort.com.
Did you know there are little-known strategies that could increase your Social Security benefits? Many retirees miss out on these spousal benefits, survivor benefits, and earning exemptions simply because they don't know they exist. At Pioneer Wealth Management, we can help you navigate these complexities of Social Security to ensure you get every dollar you deserve. Don't settle for less. Call us today at 314-619-1283 or visit us at pioneerwealthmgmt.com and learn how to maximize your Social Security income.
It's Julie Buck here to tell you that the patio is open at Bishop's Post right next to Chesterfield Mall. Get your reservations in now and go to Bishop's Post. You will love it. Tell them Julie Buck sent you, bishopspost.com.
Schrader Funeral Homes and Crematory, St. Louis's oldest family-owned funeral home, offering complete funeral, burial, and cremation services, including an on-site reception center and crematory. 150 years of serving St. Louis families. Visit them at Schrader.com.
So here's the deal. If you're driving around and you've got some dings and dents and you start to notice them now a little bit more because the sun is out and you're driving, wait a minute, hold on, I didn't see that before. Guess what? You need to get to Dents Express. They've got 2 locations on Manchester, in Baldwin, and in St. Charles. Whether it's dent removal, hail damage, minor collision, they'll work with your insurance company, handle all the paperwork, and then when it's ready, they'll come call you and you can come pick up the car for 30-plus years. Dents Express, STL.com.
Hey, Heidi Glaus here, asking you to join us weekly as we present the KTRS Book Club, presented by the St. Louis County Library for readers of every generation. Books transport us anywhere our imagination wants to go. They are absolutely magical. The KTRS Book Club will introduce you to local and national authors, events, and special programs presented by the St. Louis County Library every week from 3 to 6 right here on the Big 550 KTRS.
And now the opening dialogue with Frank and Jill on the Big 550 KTRS. Powered by Worldwide Technology Raceway.
All right, thought one. The story of how leadership should be done, and it's a story I think you'll be telling others later on today about. So, on Friday, I played golf with Vince Coleman, humble brag, and I said to the Cardinal outfielder, tell me something about the most popular coach or manager in the history of St. Louis sports, Whitey Herzog. And he says, okay, so it's the game of the week. It's a Saturday afternoon at Busch Stadium. And Vince was at 98 stolen bases, about to become the first player in history to steal 100 bases in 3 consecutive seasons. Vince Scully and Joe Garagiola are interviewing Vince before the game. First inning, he comes to the plate. 3 questionable pitches, all called strikes. He strikes out. He is so mad because every pitch he thought was a ball. He calls the umpire a blank hole, thrown out of the game right away. Whitey comes out to defend his guy, and he says to the umpire, it's the first inning. What are you doing throwing Vince Coleman out of the game? The ump says, he called me a blank hole. And Whitey says, well, you are a blank hole. Whitey was thrown out. Vince was by his locker in the clubhouse, sees Whitey walk past him into his office. He says, Vince, come on in. He walks into the office. Whitey says, Vince, grab a beer. And they're watching the game and drinking a beer. And then on the television screen is a shot of the 50,000 people at Busch Stadium. And Whitey says, Vince, see all those people? They all came to see you today make history. Don't ever do that again, ever. Now take a shower, go home, and I'll see you tomorrow. And don't ever do it again. Mm-hmm. And Vince was never thrown out of a game. That's leadership. That's a manager backing his player, pointing out his flaw, and then saying, you're with me tomorrow. Let's go get him. That's what made Whitey Herzog the great manager he is. Speaking of a beer, I'm going to open one right now. Go ahead.
Yeah. Please tell the truth.
It's not.
It is not. What is it, by the way? I can't see.
One of those.
It's like a strawberry poppy.
And
it's the healthy soda.
It's the one that's supposed to be good for your digestive system and all things. Yeah. Isn't that also the scene of the crime that happened at your house? Was one of those sodas?
This is true.
That your wife found one that had lipstick on it after she'd been on vacation?
Still have not solved that mystery. Thanks for bringing it up.
You're welcome. That's a great story, by the way, and must have been very fun to hear first person this weekend. Front page Post-Dispatch story over the weekend. Many of you probably saw it, that Hazelwood is weighing whether to leave special school district, exploring a big shift, whether they would run their own special education departments within the school, something no St. Louis County district has done since the special school district, otherwise known as SSD, was created back in 1957. At a board meeting last month, Hazelwood leaders just began the process. They're quick to say, we're just looking at things. No decisions have been made. Of course, all 22 county districts served by special school district, it is partly funded by a voter-approved county tax. So if individual school districts began to pull out from that, there is going to have to be some financial negotiations of some form. It's again, they're not absolutely saying they're going to do it. A couple of years ago, remember, there was a lot of discussion because Clayton was raising some concerns they were having with parents and special school district and navigating not only their own home school district, but services for their kids through special school district. It's something that's very unique in St. Louis. I don't think a lot of people realize that around the rest of the country. I think Hazelwood is just looking at whether special school district is needed in today's world, or whether, like almost 100% of every other school district in the United States, individual districts can manage their own internal special education programming. And it would be huge, because if it's one of those things that if one person goes and then a bunch of other districts go, and how it's funded, and it would be a big change for St. Louis. Many say it's worked really, really well and served millions of kids with special needs throughout these districts in the state. Others say its time is no longer needed. I very much want to hear what you guys have to say on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line. I know there are teachers, I know there are parents, I know there are grandparents who have firsthand experiences here, and we want to hear what your thoughts are on this. Royal Banks Missouri text line 84126.
All right, thought two. What we heard on our station for about 8 hours on Saturday, Mizzou. You know, this is really nothing new for Mizzou. We always get excited, and they play a great team, and then they lose. You guys know the script. We've seen it too often in St. Louis. But Saturday was different because a lot of times after a loss, you think, well, you know what? That team was just better, okay? They had more athletes. They have more NFL draft choices. But there was a part of me thinking on Saturday, Alabama is not better, or I didn't think so. Drink said at the beginning of the season, this is my best team. It is. Guys got dudes on defense. Young, Trotter, Wilson, McClellan, Newsom. Big, nasty guys who will make a living playing in the NFL. Two things. Best player in your team needs to touch the ball more, Ahmad Hardy, and their quarterback played like a Heisman Trophy winner in Ty Simpson, and our quarterback threw 2 picks. A lot of time left. If they go 5-1 and they're 10-2, you've made it to the college football playoff, I believe. We'll see what happens. But nonetheless, it was something that I think everybody in St. Louis was watching. It's a shame, too, because it was a gorgeous day. I don't think anybody wanted to sit in and just watch football on a beautiful day, but you had to watch it. They were in it to the end. It was just tough.
I was just checking scores because we were out of state and wasn't able to watch, not near a TV. But post-game, what I've heard over and over and over again is they just didn't play their best, unfortunately.
No.
That's fair to say. So Howard was right. We needed to run the ball. Lean on the run game a little bit more than we did. That's what he told us on Friday was going to need to happen.
Yeah, it's true. In fact, Howard and Mike Claiborne were driving back from Columbia after the game, and they pull up to a stop sign, and they notice it's Drink with his wife in the car, and she was driving. And so Howard rolls down the window, and Drink sees Howard and Mike Claiborne, and he just shakes his head, just keeps shaking his head, and then just drove off.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's very tough. You guys, of course, probably have heard the news by now that Diane Keaton died over the weekend at the age of 79. And somehow it feels like we not lost not just an actress, but an entire era of style, wit, and originality. So this, of course, was about 18 years ago when she won that Golden Globe for Something's Gotta Give with Jack Nicholson. Very fun movie. Of course, we knew her from The Godfather to Annie Hall, Manhattan, and again, all of the romantic comedies in the last 25 years that have just come out. She was a prolific actor in all of those. I loved this kind of way that her career was wrapped up. She was that rare performer who made awkwardness magnetic and intelligence irresistible. Her Oscar-winning turn in Annie Hall didn't just change romantic comedies, it changed how women saw themselves on the screen. And of course, it's me, so we got to talk about her clothes, the hats, the ties, the layers. You can still see her Annie Hall vibe echoed in St. Louis vintage shops, that mix of confidence, quirk, and a cool that never goes out of style. That Something Gotta Give look, it basically launched the whole coastal grandma aesthetic, which is still around today. Effortless, timeless, and a little bit Keaton. Here's to the woman who made yourself the ultimate accessory, and rest in peace, Diane Keaton. We'll miss her.
Yeah, she was the best. I loved her in Annie Hall. I think that was her best role. She won the Academy for that. She didn't win for The Godfather. She was, I think Talia Shire was actually nominated.
Mm-hmm.
Tarek and I were talking about this last night, and we always thought Diane Keaton played a better role in that. But Father of the Bride, she was unbelievable.
I listened to a long-form interview with her yesterday, and we'll have some more, listen to a little bit more from her later on in the 11 o'clock hour. A long-form interview she did years ago with Katie Couric. And she said she always thought she was miscast in The Godfather. She didn't think she was quite good enough to keep up with them. And we'll hear a little bit more about that later on.
Yeah.
But she always managed to stay pretty down to earth in the world of stars.
All right, thought three, potpourri. John Minio's over the weekend. Started with the zucchini risotto, and then the entree was the linguine cordongole, their red sauce with the clams. I'm telling you, this place is insanely good. Speaking of pasta, woke up early to cook lunch and dinner, spaghetti with Italian sausage and olives. I slave over it all morning from like 6:30 to 7:30, and I asked Monique, take a bite, what do you think? And she says, it's okay. That really hurt. Just stick a knife in me. You must watch it. It's the John Candy documentary. It is appointment television. Two things. You find out what an incredible human being he was. I mean, Bill Murray starts off by saying, I wish I had something bad to say about John. Everybody loved him. And then you feel sadness because, and not just because he passed away at age 43, but because he knew in the back of his mind, almost every day as an adult, he wasn't going to live long, like he was living on borrowed time. He knew that. His father died when he was just 35. And then finally, texting with Connor last night, there was a bet that if you placed $150 on Jared Goff scoring the first touchdown of Sunday Night Football, you would have made $13,000. He scored the first touchdown, and moments later, it was called back. I can't imagine the euphoria and then the sudden depression you must have had. You thought for a moment, I just made $13,000. And then you realized it was being called back. That is what you call the life of a gambler.
Yeah, very.
I think if
very
Frank
well
made
said.
that bet, he would have to. I mean, he'd have to take us out to Minio's. Or,
Yes, we would have gone. And I don't know if I would have showed up today. I would have called Mark. No, you have to come into work. I just made $13,000. I am not coming in.
I thought your response when you had Monique taste it and she said it was okay, it was just it needed more time to simmer. Doesn't a really good red sauce need to
True.
long time? And you were just kind of jumping the gun.
Well, you're being optimistic. I didn't get that tone from her, but that's just as
Did
true.
you think it was like on par with her sauce or other sauces that you've had in your life?
I thought it was solid for
Was
a
it up
Monday
to the
morning
standard?
effort.
Okay.
No, look, I didn't think it was good as what I had on Friday night, but
That's funny. When John asked me to taste something, I know it always means I think this is delicious, and I'd like your affirmation that this is delicious. Is that what
Yeah.
you were when you were asking
Exactly.
Monique? Is that what
Yeah.
you were asking
Well,
for?
positive feedback. Come
Okay,
on.
because when I ask him, I really want to know: does it need more salt? Does it need more something else? But I know by now, after 33 years, when he asked me, my answer is supposed to be, "Wow, that is as delicious as you thought it was." Michigan trip over the weekend. This is just a big thumbs up in favor of a weekend getaway with friends. We just had the best one. Michigan, by the way, rocks if you haven't been there for a while. Beautiful trees, gorgeous lakes, quaint, delightful resort towns like Saugatuck, Holland, Grand Haven, and the up-and-coming new vacation area, Muskegon, where we spent our time. Incredible fall farmers markets with the best fresh-picked Honeycrisp apples you have ever tasted. Hiking through the woods, tinged with the earliest beautiful fall colors. You can do a little leaf peeping up there already. Breathtaking views of Lake Michigan. As you know by now, I do love the Great Lakes a lot. Sugar sand beaches, dunes. No wonder so many St. Louisans spend summer vacations there. It is pretty great, including our own Connor McCarthy. He's up there just about every year on vacation, usually, aren't you?
Not always on vacation, but to see family. And I was there this year. I agree. Great place.
Yeah.
Although
it was
Max
really
Foisey does not agree with that somehow, which makes me think much less of him, if I can be honest.
That's right. He was not as impressed
Yeah.
as I. It's been 10 years since I've been in Detroit, and I think the last time I was there, in Michigan. I was in Detroit for a big convention, which was great, by the way, as well. They're doing good things in their downtown, but being out on the vacation side of Western Michigan, pretty fun.
By the way, one more thing before we go to break. Soul on Fire had a successful opening weekend, earning approximately $3 million at the box office and receiving largely positive reviews from faith-based audiences. The film debuted at number 5 on the weekend box office charts from October 10 through the 12th.
And even a decent review in the New York Times. I mean, it's obviously did not have the $100 million budgets that a lot of others, but still good stuff and some good national media. So hopefully it'll continue to be on that on the upward trajectory. And I think we can all be proud of what St. Louis did to support that great movie being made. Hey, our friends at McKnight Place, and of course specifically Park Provence, where memory care is second to none, aren't just well known in St. Louis, even though the Gatesworth Communities and the company is based here in St. Louis, not a national company based right here, but they are recognized nationally. Park Provence, U.S. News and World Report, Best Memory Care Community. Better Business Bureau A+ rating, Ladue News Platinum list for Best Memory Care Community for several years. And by the way, this was new to me until fairly recently. It is so well known and has such a great reputation in the healthcare community as well as among families. There are families that move loved ones here from all over the country to get the care that is really second to none at Park Provence. Great medical care and just a complete commitment to making sure that there is the security of consistent routine, while constant opportunities for residents to be physically and mentally active. Park Provence, if you are ready to have the conversation because of someone in your life needs that kind of memory care support, please call them today, 314-542-2500, and make sure you tell them we sent you.
And now, KTRS weather.
Just a slight chance of a quick passing shower this morning and this afternoon. Most of that's going to hold to the north and west of St. Louis, and boy, even there, it's going to be spotty at best. Highs this afternoon, upper 70s to low 80s under considerable cloud cover, and then we're dry and partly cloudy tonight, down to 62 for the low. Looks a little warmer on Tuesday, partly cloudy, dry tomorrow at 82. Very little change until a cold front arrives this weekend, but we are hoping for a better chance of rain near that front, with temperatures turning cooler Sunday into early next week. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers on the Big 550 KTRS.
Hey, it's John Carney. A lot of conversations with the folks over at Allen Roofing, pretty much asking advice, because I know a lot of people got smacked by that storm, and he had some great advice for people to think about. First off, be careful of who you talk to when you're going to get some work done. Make sure there's an agreement and the scope of work is laid out in that contract. Also, as you can imagine, a lot of contractors are busy. Give them some time. And you know what? Allen Roofing will come put a tarp on your roof at no charge, even if you don't use them when you get the roof repaired. Also, check the Better Business Bureau. See what the reviews are for contractors that you deal with. And also remember, insurance companies allow up to an entire year from the date of loss to file a claim. So you've got time to get those repairs done and that replacement done. Don't rush it. Just a few tips from the people that know roofing and repairs better than anyone. It's Allen Roofing, online at aroofing.net.
From the same guys who brought you the watering bowl, say hello to the number 2 crew. The number 2 crew will visit your yard once a week in St. Louis City, St. Louis County, or St. Charles County, and they'll take care of your dog's business. Think of the number 2 crew as your yard's best friend. 314-717-8880 or the number2crew.com. The number 2 crew reporting for duty each and every week in your backyard. The number 2 crew or the number2crew.com.
Truck drivers, don't miss out on the unmatched consistency of a Schneider driving job. At Schneider, you can find a driving position that fits your lifestyle and goals, all while getting the pay you deserve. Plus, Schneider drivers operate state-of-the-art, well-maintained equipment and have access to award-winning benefits and a 24/7 support team. Explore Schneider's huge selection of driving jobs today and find your perfect fit at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
Everyone's talking about these weight loss drugs, and it's a good thing we've got Dr. Joe Molesky with us, a St. Louis native and board-certified primary care physician. Dr. Joe, it can get very confusing, but the one thing we need to know is GLP-1, right? That's the magic cure.
The magic cure is these weight loss shots. They're injected once weekly. They're not like the old medications that you've seen 20, 30 years ago. These medications actually work. They're injected once weekly, and patients see within the first 90 days 10 to 15 pounds down. It simply works, and that's why I recommend it to all of my patients. You simply go online, book an appointment. You fill out a health questionnaire form. You get an appointment on our schedule. It's all telemedicine based. It's all done from your home. And then you meet with me or one of my nurse practitioners. And then after the 10, 15-minute consult, the medication is delivered right to your door discreetly, and you get started right now on your weight loss journey.
And you want to start to lose weight? None better than to call stlmedweightloss.com and ask Dr. Joe. stlmedweightloss.com.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
All right, welcome back. This is the Frank and Jill Show on the Big 550 KTRS. A great day for the world is the release of the 20 living hostages from Hamas captivity. Just a quick overview on that. Greg Willer's here.
I think you have summed it up well, Frank. Not many moments in America or around the world that people of whatever persuasion can celebrate. The release of the hostages and at least the initial peace in Gaza is something that I think we all can celebrate. Job well done to the many, many world leaders, including our president, who facilitated that. It's a very good day.
Let's talk about some things happening a little bit closer to home as well, because a lot has been unfolding, which is why we're grateful you were able to help us make sense of some of this. Okay, so everybody knows by now that the person who the voters elected to be the sheriff in the city of St. Louis has come with, I think it's fair to say, a little bit of baggage. And he's been embroiled in a number of legal challenges, the latest including a call for house arrest. Then a judge came in and said, we got to see more. Help us untie or untangle the latest issues for Sheriff Montgomery.
If we had an hour, we might be able to cover all of them. So let's see if we can quickly unpack them. Sheriff Montgomery was elected by the people of the city of St. Louis to serve as sheriff of the city of St. Louis. That is a very important position, especially in terms of the support it provides to the court system down in the city. The Missouri Attorney General alleged that Sheriff Montgomery, had engaged in some inappropriate actions and alleged that he had Sheriff's Department employees pick up his kids at school and that. So the Missouri Attorney General brought what is called a proceeding for a writ of quo warranto. What a writ of quo warranto is it is an order. Writ is a fancy name for order. It is an order that a court can enter to basically kick out of office elected officials. Now, we're not talking about the governor and people who are subject to impeachment. Now, I want to just jump in here as fast as I can. As our listeners know, I don't take sides. I'm sure not going to take sides on this issue. But the notion that somehow that Sheriff Montgomery is being picked on is false. We have had writ of Quaranto proceedings for decades and decades. One of the most infamous was Jack Danforth. When he was Missouri Attorney General, he sought a writ and successfully obtained it to remove from office a sheriff in outstate Missouri. What then has subsequently transpired is the sheriff has been charged with federal charges, witness tampering, and some very serious felonies. That, Jill, is why, to your point, he is under house arrest on the federal charges. The Missouri Attorney General went into court last week and tried to spur things along by referencing these federal charges, and to his great credit, the judge said, you need to hold your horses. There's a right way and a wrong way, and we're going to have a trial in a few weeks. That's the right way, and Sheriff Montgomery is going to get his day in court. If I were to look into my crystal ball, I would not put a win, place, and show ticket on Sheriff Montgomery's chances of success in terms of his removal from office.
Well, what's the best case scenario for him and a worst case scenario for him?
It is binary. He's either gets to keep the office or doesn't get to keep the office, and I think the chances that he can keep his office are slim. And as the FBI continues to prosecute that federal case, they are getting slimmer. As to whether then he subsequently is convicted and goes to prison, that remains to be seen. But as to his likelihood of staying in office in this quo warranto proceeding, I think he's on the wrong side of that jump ball, Frank.
All right. Do you think that after a kind of a tumultuous first 9 months of the administration, that Supreme Court justices regret their decision to grant that absolute immunity?
No. I think when you read Chief Justice Roberts' opinion in the Trump versus United States decision, he was most particularly writing for history, not just Donald Trump or Donald Trump coming back into office. Therefore, whether it's the first 9 months of the Trump administration or fast forward 10 years and some president does something that a lot of folks don't like, I think those 6 justices who signed on to that opinion, they would be as firm today as they were the day they issued it, Frank.
If you're just tuning in, of course, Greg Willard, KTRS legal analyst. By the way, he's making his 501st appearance here on KTRS. I left the cookies at home that we were trying to celebrate with last time, so I'm glad you're back.
Did you make new ones or those ones from last
Those
week?
are new ones. These are our new ones.
How
The
about
ones
that?
from last
How
week
about
were
that?
distributed.
Yeah.
And by made them, I mean let the professionals at St. Louis Bread Company
Ooh,
put
that's
together
good,
the delicious ones, which is, yes, far, far better. But back to what you're here for. One of the other things you do, of course, is you are a constitutional law professor who also teaches presidential powers at St. Louis University Law School. Greg, let's talk presidential powers. And does the president, in your opinion, is he on solid ground talking about firing a member of the Federal Reserve Board, as we've heard quite a bit of in the last few weeks?
If you would have asked me that question a year ago, I would have said, no, he's not on solid ground, that there are certain officials in our government that are beyond the at-will dismissal of our presidents. What has happened in the subsequent months, and we are right in the middle of the tumult, is that a 1935 decision by the Supreme Court, Humphrey's executor, which very clearly, we all thought, established that there are certain officials, particularly in independent agencies, that cannot be removed by a president at will. I think the shelf life of Humphrey's executors, which has existed for 90 years, I think the shelf life of that case is measured in a few more months. I think the Supreme Court is about to overrule it. That will be a sea change. Going back to Franklin Roosevelt and the New Deal, that will be a sea change in terms of the structure of how I think every living American, or at least all of us below the age of 90, has understood how our federal government is structured and worked, particularly with these independent agencies, Jill, Federal Trade Commission, Securities and Exchange Commission, the Federal Reserve, all of these independent agencies that we've always thought of as sort of hybrids, sort of a little bit Congress, a little bit the president, as opposed to, say, the Interior Department and the Secretary of the Interior. Well, that's a cabinet position. That's the executive. But these independent agencies we've always thought of as being a little different. I think that is about to monumentally change in the next few months.
What about your confidence level in these federal judges appointed by Trump, that they will base their decisions on law and facts rather than being loyal to the president? That's a little bit of a dilemma.
It is in terms of discussion fodder, but I think the reality is it is not. And the best example or examples, and I could give you and Jill and Connor and our listeners a long list of Trump-appointed federal judges who have ruled against him decisively, particularly in these cases involving immigration arrests and activities with the National Guard. So, yes, there are those that think, well, a Trump judge is going to rule this way because Trump's on one side of the V or the other, and, a Biden judge. I think that there may be a wisp occasionally of that, but the reality, Frank, is it's more their ideological core, and that their ideological core tends to move in the direction of whoever the litigant is, consistent with that ideological core. But the fact that Donald Trump appointed a federal district judge who is considering whether President Trump can send troops into Portland, Oregon, the fact that the commission on that federal judge's wall is signed by Donald Trump, I am highly confident that does not make a difference.
Before we let you go, we have had a couple listeners who asked about this Ghislaine Maxwell appeal, and there was this idea going back, of course, to the Epstein situation, which President Trump would very much like to go away, and it still seems to keep rearing its head. But there was talk of maybe some kind of that she would have the chance to either appeal or even have a pardon. It looks like, for now anyway, she's going to stay in prison.
Yes. For our listeners, Ghislaine Maxwell, just to be blunt, was Jeffrey Epstein's pimp. He is one of the most evil persons ever to walk the planet with what he perpetrated against those young women, and she facilitated it in many, many ways. She was prosecuted, tried, convicted, and sentenced to, I think, 20 years in federal prison. She had an appeal. Her case was appealed to a federal court of appeals, and she lost. She, like any American, has the right to ask the Supreme Court to hear another appeal. The Supreme Court is asked in a year to hear between 7,000 and 8,000 appeals. They get to decide which ones they take. They take between 60 or 70. Ms. Maxwell learned last week she is not one of the 60 or 70. But let's be very clear. She had an appeal that was considered by a 3-judge court of appeals, and she lost. She's now sitting in a federal prison, oddly, in a minimum security prison, which is directly at odds with the longstanding policy of the Department of Justice as to where sex offenders have to be housed. But she's at a minimum security prison down in Bryan, Texas, with many other low-risk prisoners, and she will remain there presumably for quite some time unless President Trump decides to give her a pardon.
Congratulations on 501, 499 to go.
Great to be with both of you.
Thank you, sir.
Stay safe.
Well, wait. If you think this is a big celebration, wait till you get to 1,000. It's gonna be epic, as the kids would say. Something else that's epic is the customer service you get from our friends at Premier Heating and Cooling. They just go above and beyond. We hear it time and time again. It's the reason that so many of their customers come from happy and satisfied customers like me. You have a great experience. It stands above the rest. You're like, wow, this really is different than other experiences I've had. You tell friends about it, and it's just, as the owners of Premier Heating and Cooling have discovered now for many years, it's the best way to build a very solid business that provides a great way to make a living for so many of their highly trained technicians. Good time of year here. We're between seasons of needing probably your air conditioner or your furnace. A great time to have them come in, do that clean and check, make sure you're ready to go for those winter temperatures. PremierHeatingCooling.net, 636-916-1122. Call them today and tell them that we sent you.
Hey, it's Heidi, and I've only sold 2 houses, but I know how stressful it can be. I also know the team at Lauren Risley Realty makes the entire process as easy as possible. I watched Lauren work with friends and my parents, and I can say she is top-notch. She doesn't just know the market, she knows what to look for in a home, and that includes red flags. And through all of it, she is calm, cool, and kind. So if you're in the market to buy or sell a home, or if you just have a question, call Lauren Risley Realty, 314-775-0684, or go to LaurenRisleyRealty.com.
Arnie, Buck.
I always like it when somebody local gets featured on a national show, and there's a local teacher who was on Kelly Clarkson. We'll tell you why when we talk to her.
Also, Rob Silverstein checks in from the left coast, so we'll get up to date on all the Hollywood gossip.
Mixologist master Matt Sorrell, that was hard to say, joins us too.
We'll see you at noon.
John Carney, Julie Buck. Weekdays at noon on KTRS. The talk of St. Louis.
Are you in the custom home market? The one name to know, Workhorse Construction. Brock Harvey, former Mizzou football player, has built Workhorse Construction with 17 years of experience, 17 years of quality control, and Workhorse Construction has 17 years of beautiful, one-of-a-kind designs and styles. Brock Harvey and his partners have built Workhorse Construction to be the best, and you need to see it for yourself. WorkhorseCG.com. That's WorkhorseCG.com.
At Maryville University, we power dreams, not just degrees. For nearly 150 years, we've empowered graduates to build successful careers. At Maryville, expect a rigorous, technology-driven, mentor-inspired education in a diverse and inclusive learning environment. We help you take it to the next level, no matter what field you choose. Now is the time to turn your ambition into action and transform your dream into reality. Start your journey at maryville.edu.
Welcome back, everybody. Wrapping up the first hour of the Frank and Jill Show. Happy Monday. Really, really glad you're here. Jill Farmer, Frank Cusimano, along with Connor McCarthy as well. I think it's super fun to have you with us here today. Lots of great conversations. Many of you texting into the Royal Banks of Missouri text line talking about favorite Diane Keaton movies. The Family Stone, yep, that's a great one as well. Somebody else saying one of her most underrated performances was in Looking for Mr. Goodbar.
Oh my gosh, with Richard Gere, that is a dark, nasty. Ooh, that's brutal.
I mean,
have you seen it, Connor?
I have not.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's
when that came out, that was
radical. I would say at the time. Would you? I mean, that's my perception. Yeah, I don't remember too much of the details. It's interesting looking at her filmography. She was somebody who did, you could argue, more serious films, more critically acclaimed films earlier in her career, but she always seemed to be having a really good time at the career and what she was doing. And again, you know, the style icon thing was real. Lots of you weighing in, I would say about 90% so far on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line saying, from your experiences, many of them saying firsthand experiences, you think that doing away with or districts that are considering not participating in special school district would be doing a disservice to their students with special needs. From the 314. For the people who say special school districts time has passed, I want to hear factual reasons why. If because of all the resources that are available to them, I think that would be a bad thing to lose them. As a parent, also from the 314, as a parent of an 8th grader with severe learning challenges, we could not navigate general education without the help of SSD. These educators help boost the confidence, which definitely breeds success. Another parent saying, being a separate entity by SSD allows them to hold districts accountable without worrying about keeping the home district happy or stepping on toes. In our experience, truly an advocate for the child. Thanks, you guys, so much. It's always very good to hear from your insights on that as well.
All right. Let's take a break, and we'll talk some ping pong when we come back.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a fun new novel written by a St. Louisan. She's got an interesting story to tell based on her experience, and I think you guys are really going to like it. I'm a fan of the book, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well. Lots more coming up on the Frank and Jill Show. But first, Capital Advisory Group. Our friend Jeff Zufall, great show this weekend. Once again, of course, the show is Keep What's Yours every single Saturday here. Mark your calendar every single week at 3 p.m. with Josh Gilbert on the Big 550. Jeff, of course, is a senior tax strategist. He's a tax expert. He's a tax guy who knows all of it and a wealth advisor with Capital Advisory Group. He does a great job helping individuals make sure they're not paying too much on their taxes and businesses as well. He said it's one of those things that a lot of businesses forget to take into account is really thinking about tax strategy and thinking about taking advantage of tax laws, which are meant to incentivize businesses to be able to keep more of their money to keep their businesses alive and well. And he says now, October is the ideal time for you to set up your appointment if you're a small business owner with Jeff and his team at Capital Advisory Group to take a look at the tax laws and to make sure that you are maximizing your business's profitability with what you can do via tax laws. CapitalAdvisoryGRP.com, 636-394-5524. Give them a call today. You will be glad you did.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Growth by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
Have some fun with your friends while eating great food. Of course, I'm talking about the Village Bar, the only place to watch the big game while eating the world's best cheeseburger. There's a reason people have made this their favorite hangout for decades. The game's on, and so is the grill. We'll see you at the Village Bar.
Let's talk about a getaway where you're not spending all the time on the road. How about Innsbruck? Think about it. You could go from your desk to a canoe and do some fishing in about 25, 30 minutes. They've got A-frames, they got tree houses, or if you're looking for a place to live that's away from hustle and bustle, custom homes and condos as well. It is absolutely gorgeous. Have you been out? Have you looked? Go to Innsbruck-resort.com to find your getaway.
You've seen the movies Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick. Have you always wondered what it would be like to be a Top Gun instructor or pilot? Now is your chance at the National Museum of Transportation. On October 15th at 7 p.m., Captain Kevin Proton McLaughlin, United States Navy retired former commander of Top Gun and technical advisor to the movie Top Gun Maverick, will be the featured speaker. Tickets are $30. Reserve your spot now online at tnmot.org at the National Museum of Transportation.
The University of Missouri-St. Louis offers academic programs at the undergraduate, graduate, doctoral, and professional levels to fit any passion, purpose, and schedule. At UMSL, more is what moves us. Find your more at more.umsl.edu.
This is Mariah, third generation at Newsteaders Fine Jewelry. Buying an engagement ring can be intimidating. At Newsteaders, we ensure complete understanding of your purchase. We offer a choice in both lab and mine-grown diamonds and are able to work with any budget. Let our family help educate you on your choice at Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or at wowdiamonds.com.
News, weather, traffic, sports, and live local talk. This is the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis, Ladue, Glen Carbon, University City, Edwardsville, Manchester, Wood River, Grafton, Collinsville, Pacific, and the world.
Streaming live at KTRS.com.
Depend on it.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen.
A historic day in the Middle East. All remaining Hamas-held hostages in Gaza cheered on and returning to Israel after more than 2 years in captivity. The family of Omri Moran cheering on his arrival at the intake center. And Daniel Lifshitz, the grandson of released hostage Oded Lifshitz, credited the Trump administration who freed all the hostages.
You see so many former hostages that we see now. They all been released thanks to President Trump. President Trump made a dream come true.
President Trump landing in the region, meeting with families and addressing lawmakers at the Knesset about the ceasefire plan aimed at bringing lasting peace to the Middle East. ABC's Karen Travers has more.
You know, the president enjoys a victory lap, so it was not surprising that he was very eager to make this trip over there, and also that he wanted to meet with some of the families of the hostages who he had said that he had spoken to over the last 2 years and knew what a difficult time it had been, and he wanted to be there now on this jubilant day, a day of joy and hope for them after so much stress and sorrow.
4 bodies arriving in caskets of the 28 hostages who died in Gaza. Families now demanding all remains be found and returned. The president now in Egypt to meet with Arab and Muslim leaders, saying phase 2 is beginning. That will include disarming Hamas. Hundreds of Palestinian prisoners also released as part of the exchange and more aid beginning to flow into Gaza. It is day 13 of the government shutdown. The Senate not back in session until tomorrow. Democrats and Republicans deadlocked over restoring health care benefits.
Lawmakers are still getting their paychecks, but they are out of town. The Senate is expected to come back to Congress tomorrow, and then the House is out until further notice. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson saying he will not be bringing lawmakers back until Democrats drop their demands.
ABC's Rachel Scott. The White House has also sent out layoff notices to employees at several government agencies, including the Human and Health Services Department. You're listening to ABC News.
Okay, all signed up. Easy. Now let's run payroll. What the? Hey girl, I'm you with more gusto. Nice. Who's that? New social media manager, hired and onboarded with gusto. And spoiler, we're kind of famous now. Wait, we're famous? Oh, well, I'm famous. Payroll, benefits, and HR. Designed and built for small businesses. Choose a future with gusto.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is KTRS News. I'm Sobe Bay. Tomorrow night's execution of a Missouri inmate is moving forward. The story from KTRS's Jill Enders.
This morning, Governor Mike Kehoe announced he has denied clemency for Lance Shockley, who was convicted of the 2005 murder of Sergeant Carl Duane Graham of the Missouri Highway Patrol. At the time, Graham was investigating the manslaughter of Jeffrey Bayless, a passenger killed while riding in a car with Shockley, who was suspected of driving under the influence. Prosecutors say Shockley went to Graham's home, where he fatally shot him with a rifle. Shockley has long proclaimed his innocence. Jill Enders, KTRS News.
Congresswoman Ann Wagner is speaking out on the release of the hostages from Gaza. Wagner released a statement, which reads in part, "It has been 2 long years since these hostages were ripped away from their families in the midst of the brutal Hamas terror attack. That's 2 years of not knowing when or if they would ever see their loved ones again. I am so incredibly grateful to see those innocents in captivity in the furtherance of Hamas's depraved anti-Semitic ideology." Former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan will begin his 7.5-year prison sentence today. Back in February, Madigan was convicted on 10 charges, including bribery, conspiracy, and wire fraud. In addition to the prison term, Madigan, the longtime Democratic leader, was ordered to pay $2.5 million in fines. He has until 2 p.m. this afternoon to report to prison. Emergency crews are making repairs to a water main break in Glendale. This is along Sappington Road between Hawbrook and Alexandra. Motorists are advised to avoid the area. This KTRS Business Minute is brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. Over 43% of small businesses in Missouri have survived over 5 years. That's according to a new study by Ringy.com, which reports Missouri saw nearly 18,000 new businesses formed in 2019, with over 7,700 still operating in 2024. The comprehensive analysis examined Bureau of Labor Statistics data across all 50 states plus Washington, D.C., tracking which regions offered the strongest foundation for business longevity. And now let's take a look at the markets, brought to you by JBL Financial. Tune in to Straight Talk on Retirement, Saturdays from 9 to 11 a.m. Right now on Wall Street, the Dow Jones is up 483 points, S&P 500 up 87 points, and the NASDAQ is up 398 points. KTRS Sports, Mizzou football went toe-to-toe with Alabama, but couldn't close the deal in a 27-24 loss in Columbia. It's the Tigers' first loss of the season, with the first road game looming next at Auburn this Saturday night at 6:45 right here on the Big 550. Illinois football did not have enough firepower to topple number 1 Ohio State in a 34-16 loss in Champaign. The Illini closed the gap to 10 after falling behind 20-0, but that is as close as they got. KTRS weather today, cloudy, high of 77. Tonight, cloudy, overnight low of 61. Tomorrow, mix of sun and clouds, high of 82. Right now, we have 70 degrees. The time is 11:06. I'm Sobe Bay, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
Welcome back, everybody. Starting off the second hour of the Frank and Jill Show on a Monday morning. Jill Farmer, Frank Cusimano, Connor McCarthy here as well. And we're really happy to have author here in studio today. She happens to be originally from St. Louis, doing great things as a graduate of John Burroughs High School, originally from Clayton, graduated from Harvard, heard of it, has a master's degree from Michigan, works as a business analyst at a great firm, and she has just had her debut novel published, and very lucky enough to get her here during her St. Louis stop on her national tour. Her name is Emily Zhao, and she is an amazing table tennis player yourself, which is what the subject is of your new novel. You played, and you were actually nationally ranked third in the nation, I think, when you were 13 and under a little bit. So obviously you loved table tennis. Was it always the thing you wanted to write your first novel about?
Yeah, first of all, thanks so much for having me on the show, Jill. It's a real treat to be here in St. Louis talking about my book. I played competitively from when I was 9 to about 15, and I think it was obvious to me when I thought about my first book that I would have to write about table tennis, because those are such formative years in your life when you start to learn how to be a person, when you shape your values. I had spent them all in the sport. And especially, I think some of the topics that I'm interested in that manifest throughout the book, about competition, about relationships beyond the family, and people who you see occasionally but leave a big impact on your life. Those were all dynamics that I first encountered through the table tennis community, which is at the same time very vast but very intimate.
Boy, one of the lines describing your book, Underspin, is unbelievable. It says, Underspin is an eruption of a debut by Emily. Boy, that's pretty sweet. I'm wondering, like, life lessons. We all, like everybody, if they're playing a sport or involved in some type of passionate thing in their childhood, it does kind of shape their life. What's your takeaway, and what did you learn from ping pong that you still have with you today, or table tennis, I should say?
Yeah. Recently, I was at a hybrid table tennis book event, and so some of my writer friends got to watch me play table tennis for the first time. And one of them said, "It's so interesting. All of the players at this event are expressing themselves in the same way. They're all frustrated. They all seem to be playing themselves entirely, and it's like the other person is there, but the other person doesn't really register in your field of vision, and they're all focused on their own games and what they're doing." And I feel like that was something that table tennis taught me, is that you are playing, and a lot of sports teach you, you're playing an opponent, but really what it hones is your ability to tune in with yourself and your own psychology and what you're doing, and persevere through that despite the immense mental pressures of the match.
I mentioned earlier in the show, and I mentioned to you when we were walking in, Emily, that I think about 75% done with the book. I cannot wait to finish it. I have really enjoyed it. So 2 thumbs up from me. Not that anybody really cares about my literary reviews, but I have absolutely loved it. I love to read, and I've really enjoyed it. Learned a ton about everything from table tennis to a number of things. But one of my favorite parts about the book is you use, I think, a brilliant literary device, and you can tell me if I'm describing this correctly, or please correct me, where the story of this young, incredible table tennis player, a young man by the name of Ryan, is told through the eyes of many, many other people in his life. Some who were there just for a tournament or two, and some who were there just for another kind of phase of his life. It's a really interesting way to let a mystery, which I consider this book a little bit of, unfold. Why did you decide to write the book that way?
Yeah, I'm so happy that's the first thing you homed in on, because that was when I started writing the book, the first thing that came to me concretely. 2 books that I modeled it off of were A Visit from the Goon Squad by Jennifer Egan and Disappearing Earth by Julia Phillips, both of which are literary mysteries set in a tight-knit community. And I realized that what I was interested in wasn't prodigy or athleticism by itself. I wasn't so much wanting to write about or able to write about what it means to be that great, but rather what does it mean to be around someone who is so great? What are the things that we project onto somebody who is that great? What do we get from our idols, our star athletes, our celebrities, and shaping it so that it's around the absence in the shape of Ryan allowed me to investigate that. I think I'm also interested in, I think most of us don't feel like we're the number one most of the time. The common experience is to be looking up to someone, to feel that you're not good enough. And that was also an experience I really wanted to interrogate in the book. And so most of the characters are not that good at table tennis. They might not have that deep of a relationship to it. But I think that kind of more secondary dynamic is one that permeates our everyday, and so I really wanted to dig into that.
One of the other things that I thought was really interesting and touched me in the book is the character of Susanna, who's an aging actor, Asian American actor, and you talk through your description in the book about stereotypes and about discrimination. And I'm wondering if any experiences from your own life helped inform the way that you wrote that character's perspective.
Yeah, I will say I think in literature and a lot of arts spaces, it's getting much better and has gotten much better over recent years. But at a certain point, there definitely is pressure to write something that captures a whole community or that expresses your minority identity in a succinct way. And that was an experience that I wanted to depict through Suzanne's story, but I also wanted to defy in the writing of the book in a sense. So the novel is set mostly among Chinese American characters. Table tennis is still mostly played by immigrants in the US and a lot of other countries. But I felt that setting this story about Chinese America in a niche community with very specific concerns allowed me to explore the full range of personalities, daily concerns and obsessions of all the people within it. And that is what prevents it from becoming a monolith, from becoming a stereotype, is that like Suzanne, everyone in Chinese America is very different. They all express themselves differently, and channeling that through table tennis, I felt helped me create a diverse cast that wasn't just about like explaining the community.
Oh, and it was very interesting because there was a May-December little juicy romance and some scandal there with her character as well. That's definitely worth exploring when you read the book as well. So you are, I mean, not very many people before they reach the age of 30 have a book get published, let alone do as well as yours is starting out and has a national book tour. And you're still got a full-time job in the finance and business world as well. How is that, before we let you go, juggling those 2 jobs as being a business analyst and a very successful fiction writer?
It's been hectic on tour, I'm not going to lie. But I feel I worked before going to grad school. I'm working now. I've always been very grateful to have work experience grounding me and to have that sense of financial security. It's a lot of pressure to make money off of your writing full time. And I think I'll learn a lot I'll experience a lot at work that informs my writing. If anyone wants to give me $5 million so I don't have to work, I wouldn't say no. But right now, just feeling very lucky to get to do this.
So you get off of work at 5, and then what was the process? Then you just locked in on writing 15 to 20 pages every night at 6:30, or what'd you do?
So I wrote most of this book while I was in graduate school. I went to a paid MFA program, so I had a lot more time to write the book. When I started working, it is like anytime, anywhere, in the morning before work, during lunch break, after work. And we'll see how that plays out with the future books that I write. But sometimes constraints can be beautiful. This is something you learn as an athlete too, right? You have to do a certain number of things. And if you channel all of your energy into that very compacted space, you do something unexpected. So I'm hoping that happens as well.
The book is called Underspin. It's, if you're looking up the author, you write under, is it EY?
Yes.
Right, that's right. Okay. EY, and then spell your last name for us so it's easy for people to write it down right now so they can look it up.
Yeah, my last name is Z as in zebra, H-A-O, so Zhao.
Yes, thanks so much for taking the time to come in. I hope everybody gets the book. I think you'll enjoy it. Thanks for making St. Louis proud and writing a great first book. Are you working on another one, I would assume?
I am. I'm a little stitious, but hoping to be back here launching it soon.
Good. We can't wait for you to come back and tell us about it. Very, very impressive and very fun to have this conversation with you. Lots more coming up in the show after this.
It's the half price sale at Miller Furniture and Mattress, going on now through October 14th.
I'm Mark Miller, owner of Miller Furniture, your home for quality American-made furniture since 1927. Right now, save half off our list price on all in-stock items, plus half off custom orders from Flex Steel, Smith Brothers, Amish-made furniture, and more.
And get 12 months financing, no interest, no minimum purchase. See our fully stocked Flex Steel galleries in the area's largest selection of Amish-made furniture, plus up to 75% off the list price on our outdoor furniture.
Sleep better and save big. Right now, get a free adjustable base with the purchase of any Chatham & Wells mattress. Plus, half price on select floor model mattresses from Stearns & Foster, Tempur-Pedic, and Spring Air.
Visit any of our 4 locations in Belleville, Fairview Heights, Lake St. Louis, or Ellisville and save on over $8 million of inventory. You'll see why we were voted the Retailer of the Year by the Home Furnishings Association.
Don't miss the half-price sale at Miller Furniture now through October 14th. At Miller Furniture, we put the family in furniture.
If you're looking for your next home, think of First Community. Our Smart Choice Home Loan offers a 30-year fixed rate of just 6.531% APR to qualified borrowers, and you only need a down payment of 10%. Whether it's your first home, your forever home, or even a vacation home, be smart with a Smart Choice loan from First Community for all your savings and all your loans. Must qualify for membership. For terms and conditions, call toll-free 1-888-642-7969. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing lender.
John Beal Roofing has been proudly serving homeowners and businesses in the St. Louis metro area on both sides of the river in Missouri and Illinois for over 3 generations. A dependable roof begins with a team you can count on, and that's exactly what you get with John Beal Roofing. Recognized as one of Roofing Contractor Magazine's top 100 roofing companies, John Beal Roofing offers 24/7 emergency service and industry-leading warranties, including a lifetime workmanship warranty for total peace of mind. From upgrading an aging roof or completing a full replacement, the team at John Beal Roofing delivers solutions that are built to code, built to last, and handled with expert care. John Beal also responds quickly with reliable storm damage services backed by decades of experience and 24/7 emergency support. Get started today for expert service and a free, no obligation estimate by calling 1-800-NEW-ROOF. That's 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
A message from the master. If you are looking for that one-of-a-kind gift this year, come on in to Newssetter's Fine Jewelers. Let Richard draw your future present for somebody you love. This special engraving lasts a lifetime. At the corner of Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or at wowdiamonds.com.
When you send a text to the Big 550, do you wonder if we see all of them? Of course we do. We do pay attention and love your interaction on the Big 550 text line at 84126. Don't like something? Love something? Just let us know. Thanks for being a part of the KTRS family. And keep the text coming. We are the Big 550, the talk and text of St. Louis. Want a song?
Around my mind like the song on the radio.
Want a quote? It's the song and quote of the day on the Frank and Jill Show. Right here on the Big 550 KTRS.
So glad you're with us today on the Frank and Jill Show. Always fun to start our week off with you. And thanks for the comments. As always, we love hearing from you on the Royal Banks of Missouri text line 84126. We love it when you tune in and watch us either on Facebook or on YouTube as well. And pretty fun to celebrate. Any excuse we have to celebrate Greg Willard is a good Monday in my book. Would you say that's true, Frank?
Yes, he's the best. There's nobody I like better than Greg.
Yeah, you guys hear how wise he is and even-keeled and calm and thoughtful and how much research he does when he comes in and talks to us. And he's just the nicest guy when we get the pleasure of spending some time behind the scenes with him as well. So one of the things that some people don't realize is that Diane Keaton had some background in music and singing as well. She did some Christmas music through the years, sang in a few of her roles. I think one of the roles that, of course, was probably never going to win her an Academy Award, but it was just a very fun movie, which I enjoyed a lot, was The First Wives Club. Did you ever have a chance to see that?
I did not.
Did you ever see it, Connor?
I have not.
It's just one of those. It's Diane Keaton, Bette Midler, Goldie Hawn. I'm sure many of you in our listening audience saw it back in the day. And one of my favorite scenes from that movie is those three actors singing this classic song. It's just a really fun scene from that movie, and they seem to be having a really darn good time doing it as well. I think you'd actually get a kick out of First Wives Club.
Surprised Tarek hasn't recommended it.
Yeah, maybe
Get to it. I think we should try looking for Mr. Goodbar. Although this is a great review of it. Diane Keaton gives an absolutely fearless performance in a sexual thriller whose ending will leave audiences trembling. It was a long time ago. I don't remember it that well, but I just remember.
It was in the 70s.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was like kind of early role for her.
It was crazy. And it was Richard Gere, right? He was in that, correct?
I don't remember. I remember that my memory is that it was kind of it was controversial a little bit.
Tom Berenger, maybe? No, who was it?
Pushed some, definitely pushed some mores of the time.
What do you got there,
sure.
Connor?
It's a young Richard Gere.
Yeah. Was Tom Berenger also?
Tom Berenger was also in it.
Yeah. This was a movie that if your parents let you watch it when you were a young kid, your parents were not paying attention.
So you only got to watch it because you were the youngest of six and you snuck in at some point and got to see it.
Yeah, I don't know. Because they wouldn't even let me see Judge Roy Bean because of Victoria Principal. I mean, my parents would let me watch anything. I don't know how I got to see this, but gosh. A lot of big stars. Tuesday Weld was in it too. Richard Gere, Tom Berenger.
Yeah, well, again, it was not the groundbreaking and critically acclaimed movie, but I still liked First. I still think if you're not giving it a shot, I think you would find it incredibly entertaining just because it was kind of a fun premise of these wives who were all three wronged greatly by their ex-husbands who were not great guys, and kind of how they get past the revenge and try to get back to life. It's kind of a fun one. But
I did love all of the Father of the Brides. I think she was in two of them.
They made three of them. I think she was in all three.
Yeah. I know the first one was just tremendous, and she played a great role as Steve Martin's wife.
Yeah, that's a great memory as well. So she did a really fun long-form interview probably 10 or 15 years ago with Katie Couric, and just very candid, very just kind of let it all hang out there. One of the things that I didn't know until I listened to most of it was that she worked with Al Pacino in Godfather, And that sparked something that later became a romance. But here's how she kind of describes how it unfolded. But they did end up dating later on, and then Diane Keaton said that they ended up breaking up because he was too serious for her, and he wanted to like talk about Shakespeare and do Shakespeare plays, and she was like, I kind of just wanted to have a good time, but she still has very warm memories of their relationship together.
Never married, and Vanity Fair called her the most reclusive star since Garbo. How about that?
Yeah,
and she's romantically involved with Woody Allen, correct?
Yes,
and whatever you got it from that, but yeah.
Yep, they were together at some point. She ended up not becoming a parent until she was in her 50s. And so unfortunately, she leaves behind some, kids who are still in their 20s, I think, at this point. But definitely road less traveled. I mean, that's kind of one of the ways that a lot of people described her as well. She did, to her close friends, and she did talk, she loved style. So we talked about her clothes, but she also was really into preserving architecture, and she was a big fan of architecture. And that's one place where she would sort of let the media in because she was passionate about that. And so she would let people see her incredible homes as well.
What a career.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of careers and people who are doing what they were meant to do in life, that's our friends over at TB Exteriors. Great news here, guys. $500 off. All you have to do is mention KTRS. $500. That's a lot of money. And all you have to do is mention KTRS when you're ready for that full roof replacement. Of course, a lot of people in our area have had roof damage in the last 6 months thanks to the tornado on May 16th. And way too many of you have reported back to us that navigating with your insurance agent has just, not your agent, but with the insurance adjusters has been more difficult than any time you've ever had as a homeowner. One of the things that TB Exteriors prides itself on is the ability to help be that intermediary and support you when you need somebody to help you get that roof replaced with your insurance company. Some of the rest of you, just normal aging, St. Louis heat, St. Louis winters, the beating that our roofs all take from this Midwestern winter, even if you don't have an insurance claim, but you're experiencing a leaking roof or it's looking really bad, and in order to maintain the value of your home, that's one of the things that people look at. They want to have a new roof on there, and it's time for you to replace it. That's where you can take advantage of that $500 off by mentioning KTRS for a full roof replacement. They serve all Missouri locations in our listening area. They are a select shingles masters with CertainTeed, which means they have the top training for one of the top brands, CertainTeed, above the rest, and they offer the highest level warranty CertainTeed has to offer because of that. TB Exterior, 636-362-9503, or visit tbexteriorsmo.com to schedule a free estimate on your home project.
And now, KTRS weather.
Just a slight chance of a quick passing shower this morning and this afternoon. Most of that's going to hold to the north and west of St. Louis, and boy, even there, it's going to be spotty at best. Highs this afternoon, upper 70s to low 80s under considerable cloud cover, and then we're dry and partly cloudy tonight, down to 62 for the low. Looks a little warmer on Tuesday, partly cloudy, dry tomorrow at 82. Very little change until a cold front arrives this weekend, but we are hoping for a better chance of rain near that front, with temperatures turning cooler Sunday into early next week. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers on the Big 550 KTRS.
Hey, it's Heidi, and I've only sold 2 houses, but I know how stressful it can be. I also know the team at Lauren Risley Realty makes the entire process as easy as possible. I watched Lauren work with friends and my parents, and I can say she is top notch. She doesn't just know the market, she knows what to look for in a home, and that includes red flags. And through all of it, she is calm, cool, and kind. So if you're in the market to buy or sell a home, or if you just have a question, call Lauren Risley Realty, 314-775-06 8684 or go to LaurenRisleyRealty.com.
Don't miss Straight Talk on Retirement with Jeff and Aaron Lapidus every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Join this dynamic father-daughter duo every Saturday morning for an entertaining and intimate understanding of the retirement needs you may soon be facing. From decades of financial planning expertise combined with a deep knowledge of healthcare benefits, Aaron and Jeff will give you the Straight Talk on Retirement every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here on the Big 550 KTRS.
It's Julie Buck here to tell you that the patio is open at Bishop's Post right next to Chesterfield Mall. Get your reservations in now and go to Bishop's Post. You will love it. Tell them Julie Buck sent you, bishopspost.com.
Black Friday savings are underway at appliance discounters. Take an additional 5% off any sale price. Speed Queen, GE Profile, Cafe, Bosch, LG, Frigidaire. It applies to all the brands. Next day delivery and installation, interest-free financing, locally owned, and the largest appliance retailer in St. Louis. 5% off any sale price, 6 locations, Afton, St. Charles, Baldwin, South County, and Maplewood, or online at theappliancediscounters.com.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Drury Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Drury Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Drury Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Welcome back, everybody. Frank and Jill Show. We are really glad to have the president and CEO for the St. Louis Society for the Blind and Visually Impaired, Sharon Mertzloff, joining us now. October is a big month, Blindness Awareness Month, and Wednesday, of course, White Cane Awareness Day, which is a chance for us to remember our fellow humans who happen to be visually impaired. And I think a lot of people, Sharon, don't really understand how integral you guys are in helping so many thousands of St. Louisans live independently who have visual impairments. So for somebody who isn't familiar with what you guys do every day for people who are visually impaired, help us understand what you do.
Sure, absolutely. And Jill and Frank, thank you for including me in your show this morning. You know, sudden or gradual vision loss can be devastating for people. It's obviously life-changing. And an individual will receive that diagnosis from their ophthalmologist or optometrist, and that professional will continue to treat the condition just as we see doctors for other conditions. But when you lose your vision, if you stop and think about it, we experience so much of our lives through our vision. It enables us to recognize objects, people, places, to navigate, to drive. Well, all of a sudden, when you're losing that resource, you think, what do I do next? And so the Society for the Blind and Visually Impaired has been helping people since 1911 in our community. And we help more than 1,300 adults each year who report, more than 95% report achieving their personal goals to continue to live confidently, safely, and independently. So what we do is we work in partnership with an individual's primary eye care provider. We provide through our low vision clinic assessments of an individual's remaining functional vision. Is it their peripheral vision? Is it their central vision? And we determine, working with occupational therapists that are specialized in vision rehabilitation, what types of optic aids or other services will help that individual, again, continue to live independently. We primarily serve individuals in our offices, and we also go into the home, though, after we have met with clients to help them mark their homes, whether it's marking their appliances with what we call bump dots, tactile markings that can help them function independently in their kitchen, their living rooms, watch TV as they always have, cook, etc. We also provide assistive technology training. Technology has had such an impact in services for the visually impaired. Working with apps on your phone, on your tablet, or through other devices, we provide training for those devices, and then we also continue to support the individual as the technology changes and advances. You mentioned White Cane Awareness Day in the month of October, Jill, and I'll say that ties into our services in orientation and mobility. How do we help people navigate efficiently and effectively? Some of our clients and many individuals with vision impairment that you will see in the community utilize a long white cane to help them navigate. Others may use a human guide. Others may use a guide dog. We work with clients for the method that works best for them. We also recognize that there's tremendous anxiety when you are losing your eyesight, so we provide support groups, peer groups, opportunities to keep people connected. If you stop driving, all of a sudden you feel isolated and anxious and alone. So we have transportation services that help people get from our office and back to their appointments or to other places in the community. We offer that between Monday through Friday between 8:30 and 4 o'clock p.m. But we get it. People have transportation needs outside of those hours. So we also reimburse clients for their use of Uber, Lyft, taxi cabs, and other services.
That's
so
huge.
Just really a holistic offering of services that are tailored to each individual.
Are there more people with vision issues in this country now as opposed to 20 years ago?
I would say yes, Frank. And the reason I say that is approximately 4 million Americans are blind or have other significant vision impairment. In the state of Missouri alone, we have close to 73,000 individuals who are navigating vision loss. And much of these conditions take place as you age. We all hate to admit that. Just as we age, we start to lose vision, or we can start to lose our vision. So we know, and we see in our own numbers, that the number of clients is increasing as the population ages.
Wow, super interesting. So, what's the percentage of folks that you work with at the? By the way, if you're just joining us now, we're with Sharon Mertzloff, President and CEO of the St. Louis Society for the Blind and Visually Impaired. What percentage of folks do you work with who were born visually impaired or blind, and what percentage of folks have had some form of health challenge that has caused them to lose their sight?
I would say about 20% of the clients we work with were either born blind or became completely blind at some point during their life. But the majority of clients we serve, so more than 80%, are experiencing macular degeneration, diabetic retinopathy, retinitis pigmentosa, any number of eye conditions that are causing them to gradually lose their sight.
If somebody is listening to this and they're thinking, you know what, this is myself, my spouse, my loved one, my parent, my neighbor, and I'm noticing that they're feeling afraid or that they're isolating, they're not able to do the things that they were before, how do they get the support and help that you've been talking about?
Oh, absolutely. Great question. So individuals can access our services simply by calling us, 314-968-9000, visiting our website, slsbvi.org. Oftentimes, clients will learn of us through a referral from their primary eye care provider. Their ophthalmologist will say, you have this specific condition. Here's what we can do for you medically. Now, here's an organization that can provide you with a range of support services. And also, I would say this, a real easy way to get to know us, because sometimes people say, I don't need that help. My kids help me, or I'm not totally blind. I'll deal with this, when my vision loss is more significant. Visit our Sight Solution Shop, which is right in our office, and has a full display of optical aids, magnifying devices, special types of lighting that can make a tremendous difference. No appointment is needed, just to get a feel for what we do and how we can help.
So how often have you worked with someone that looked like they were going to lose their eyesight, who was really going in the wrong direction, and they had that cataract surgery, and it replaces like the cloudy lens with an artificial one, and all of a sudden they have really good vision again?
Sure. Personally, and with our staff, we haven't experienced as much of that, but you raise a really good point because, continued research and development in surgical techniques are making a tremendous difference for seniors and others who have cataracts. And, making it possible for them to see even more clearly, maybe the clearest they've ever seen in their lives, right? So they might not be someone that continues to use our services, but there are times when an individual has some type of eye surgery that might provide some type of improvement, but can't totally correct what is going on with their eyesight.
We had a cool experience many, many years ago. My now 28-year-old daughter had a young woman in her class who was visually impaired. She wanted to invite her to her 6th grade birthday party. And my daughter was concerned that the invitation that we were going to send to her, she wouldn't be able to read because she was completely blind. And so I went to the society and said, here's my daughter's birthday invitation. Is there any chance you guys would type it out in Braille for us so I could mail it to her?
Certainly.
And so this young woman would get the same invitation and read it herself like all the other friends. And they did. And that mom and young woman said that it was a really cool experience to feel included by being able to read Braille. And I just, that was my very first introduction to the great things, meant millions of things that you do for people.
Yeah. The Society does offer classes in Braille. They're mostly introductory classes, and then we refer to other organizations that have a more comprehensive offering. So often when clients receiving our services are losing their eyesight, they feel that they're too progressed in age or in life that to learn Braille as a communication system, but some do. And if you have the patience and the time, I think the determination, you can master it. But obviously in the situation that you're referencing, a young child, they've been learning Braille since they started school or before.
Yeah, very, very cool. Sharon Mertzluft, President and CEO of St. Louis Society for the Blind and Visually Impaired. It's a great time. October is Blindness Awareness Month. Wednesday, White Cane Awareness Day. If somebody says, I want to be part of the solution, I want to be supporting this great organization, how can they help you this month?
Well, the Society depends upon contributions to provide programs and services. And again, I would say feel free to visit our website to learn more about how you can contribute and support the organization. As far as White Cane Awareness Day is concerned, I would say it's really about recognizing that the white cane is not a symbol of a disability. It's a symbol of the strength, the determination, the skills, and the expertise of the user. And for those who encounter someone with a white cane, it's also just a symbol to be aware that they are in your environment. Maybe slow down, pay more attention as they are coming towards you, crossing the street, may need some help. But all in all, obviously, when we support individuals in maintaining their independence and their dignity, we make a tremendous difference and improve the quality of life in our community and for that individual.
So to reiterate that, if you see someone with a cane, is it a good idea to communicate and help, or is that like a bad idea?
Well, I would ask if you don't have to always ask when you see an individual with a white cane if they need assistance. You should be aware that they are navigating. If it looks like they might be uncertain of which way to go or what's happening around them, you can ask if you can be of assistance to them. But often, once an individual has mastered that white cane, it significantly improves their ability to be independent. And then with other technologies today, again, using the apps on the phone and meta glasses, et cetera, the many new developments, they are building a strong support system to navigate independently.
Great stuff. We'll be right back after this.
Thank you so much.
October is officially Financial Planning Month. The One Beautiful Bill Act locked in many of the tax laws set to revert back to the 2017 rules. But there were also changes to the tax code in this law, and we can help. If you're not taking full advantage of the tax law and you feel like you're paying more than your fair share, then let us help you plan for 2026 and take advantage of the new tax rules.
Give Capital Advisory Group a call at 636-394-5524. Online at capitaladvisorygrp.com.
When you go and get your car washed, do you really care which car wash you go to? Yes, because not all car washes are created equal. Country Club Car Wash is the local family-owned and family-operated car wash since 1989. All these other ones that are popping up, they're all run by out-of-town hedge funds. Keep it local, keep it great. Touchless car washes, no brushes, inside and out. 5 area locations, Country Club Car Wash or cccwstl.com.
Hey, it's Heidi, and I've only sold 2 houses, but I know how stressful it can be. I also know the team at Lauren Risley Realty makes the entire process as easy as possible. I watched Lauren work with friends and my parents, and I can say she is top-notch. She doesn't just know the market, she knows what to look for in a home, and that includes red flags. And through all of it, she is calm, cool, and kind. So if you're in the market to buy or sell a home, or if you just have a question, call Lauren Risley Realty, 314-775-0684, or go Go to LaurenRisleyRealty.com.
You know what they say, you never get a second chance to make a first impression, and windows and doors are usually that first impression when it comes to your home. Dalco Home Remodeling custom makes their windows and doors, and better yet, they make them here in Missouri. Dalco Home Remodeling is locally and family owned, celebrating 50 years, so they know a thing or two. The Dalco team is known for quality and customer satisfaction. That's the way it was 50 years ago when they started, and that's still true today. So if you're looking to change the look of your home without breaking the bank, call Dalco Home Remodeling. They do free in-home estimates. Just call 314-298-7300 and make an appointment. You can also check them out online at DalcoHomeRemodeling.com. As they've always said, if you buy somewhere else and find out how much you could have saved at Dalco, you'll blow your stack. So call Dalco first, 314-298-7300.
The McGraw-Millhaven Morning Show from 6 to 10 wants to hear from you. Join us on the 9 in the morning to voice your opinion, topic you want to talk about, questions you have, or if you just want to school McGraw. We'll take your phone calls and texts. No other station in the St. Louis area opens the airwaves to voice your opinion live. We are live and local, and you make us who we are. The Big 550 KTRS. Depend on it.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor and Pella window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. And have a Banner Day.
The Bomarito Automotive Group is Missouri's #1 automotive group. They've sold over 1 million vehicles by giving you a better price, a better selection, and more for your trade. You can shop them online, see their entire inventory at Bomarito.com.
What was that number from the Bomarito Automotive? How many?
Over 1 million.
Wow. I think I have about 25 in there.
You got 25.
All the kids.
All recommendations too, or if recommendations were in the hundreds,
could
right?
be at 100. Every one of them says the same thing too. Gosh, that experience was so easy. You know, we were talking about visually impaired people, and it reminds me of, we did this story twice on television. Two of the most powerful stories we ever did. It's on Mike Veck, who's the son of Bill Veck, who was, a Hall of Famer, legendary owner and promoter of Major League Baseball, the St. Louis Browns here. Mike later owned about 6 or 7 minor league teams, and famous for Disco Demolition Night in Chicago with the White Sox. But he had a daughter named Rebecca, and she was diagnosed, I think, at age 7 with a degenerative eye disease that was going to leave her blind. And Mike Veck did what every loving father would ever do. He made sure, because he knew he didn't have much time with his daughter to have sight, to take her not only around the country, but around the world so she could see everything before she lost her eyesight. And it was so powerful. And the way he talked about it, the way she talked about it, and she became a great promoter in her own right, working for Mike on all of his minor league teams. She was a star. And then she got cancer at age 27 and passed away. But, Mike Veck is known for being a great promoter and all the things he did with minor league baseball. But what I will remember is the way he treated his daughter when she was losing her sight.
Wow, I'm so glad you brought that up. That came through in the Saint of Second Chances, which is the documentary. Yeah. That was based on the redemption story of baseball innovators Bill and Mike Veck. I'm a Cardinals fan, but I wouldn't say that I'm a huge baseball fan. I don't really care as much about any teams outside the Cardinals, for sure. But I just was riveted by the story and kind of their impact on baseball and coming back from the foible of the White Sox, the promotion debacle. For somebody who's listening and it was either before their time and they're not familiar, how do you summarize that in a sentence or two?
The debacle of the Browns?
The disco.
Disco Demolition Night, yeah. It didn't work out well because it was supposed to be a doubleheader, and it got so almost riot-like that they couldn't play the second game.
Yeah, so because they did something where they're like, we hate disco music, and so bring your albums, and
Yeah,
you're gonna
burn 'em
destroy them, and then it ended up completely shutting down traffic, and the whole thing was it, and some of the people who were there did racist stuff. It ended up not leaving a good mark on the organization.
1979, I believe, at Comiskey Park. And it really did turn into a riot. I mean, disco records were like blown up on the field between games. And Dave Phillips, great St. Louisan, who lives in Lake St. Louis now, was the umpire for that game. And the Vecs were mad at him because he called off the second game. There was no way you could play the second game.
Oh, really? That's cool.
But here's the thing. They had hoped for a crowd of 20,000, I believe, because the White Sox stunk, and 50,000 showed up. So the promotion, in one way, was a success, but it was a rough night for baseball.
From the Royal Banks, Missouri text line, this is a cool text from the 573. 50 years ago, I had a serious eye injury. Didn't lose my sight, but we weren't sure. Kudos to what the society did for me. Somebody else asking if the Wolfner library is still a thing, and I looked it up. And the Wolfner Talking Book and Braille Library, which is available through the state of Missouri, still there. They have services as well. You can check it out online at sos.mo.gov as well.
Famous blind people in the history of our country. Helen Keller, Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder, I think Joseph Pulitzer. Boy, it's amazing that they accomplished what they accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
I think of all the things, of all the disabilities, that would be the most difficult.
And I think you did a story on a Ladue student who graduated with my daughter, Annie Donnell, who ran track, and she had a friend, Allison Morley, who ran with her so they could compete in the track meet, and just ended up being a really cool experience, not just for her as an athlete, but for the other athletes to see, to see her competing and to have somebody who was willing to kind of be there and that unique way of allowing her to participate in the sport as well is really, really cool. So do something to support the great work that is happening for visually impaired people in our community as part of Blindness Awareness Month. One of the other things that you can do to support yourself is to think about taking a trip. We know, I just read another article this week that when people list the things in their life that bring them the greatest joy, travel is one of the ones for a majority of people that brings some positive impact. And I think it's more so that way when you take time to plan a trip, have the months in advance to look forward to it. You have the people who can take care of all the things that make travel a little bit intimidating or that cause you not to travel. If you have some trusted thinking partners on your team who can take care of all those things that would make you hesitate, why wouldn't you take advantage of it? And that's what Altair Travel and Cruises does so well. They just do a great job at keeping on top of changing laws, changing rules, changing travel regulations, changing experiences, even like right now with the limit on some air traffic controllers because of the government shutdown. How does that impact your travel? If Altair Travel and Cruises has done your travel planning, they can help you navigate that literally and figuratively to make sure that your travel is still as enjoyable as it can be. 314-968-9600, altairtravel.com.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or Home Depot. Find tools for the job site or your own backyard at over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at steelusa.com.
Want to get away in your own hometown? How about Innsbruck? Just 45 minutes from St. Louis, 7,500 acres, 100-plus lakes, 18-hole championship golf course, nature trails, event spaces, and so much more. Wedding venues, wedding weekends, corporate retreats. They've got A-frames and tree houses and custom homes. In fact, they have a fall home tour going on Saturday, October 18th from noon to 4. We'll see you there. To find out more, Innsbruck-resort.com.
St. Louis County Library will host the 46th Annual St. Louis Storytelling Festival from November 10th through the 16th. The festival will include performances by 9 nationally renowned storytellers. This year's lineup includes vibrant indigenous storytelling, beloved folk tales from around the world, compelling personal stories, and more. New additions to the 2026 lineup include a spoken word performance by the St. Louis Story Stitchers, an amateur story hour, puppet performances, and workshops on writing and storytelling.
storytelling. A complete schedule of events is available at slcl.org/storytelling.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Welcome back, everybody. Frank and Jill show. Would you make, is O'Connell's make your list of favorite burger places in St. Louis?
Yes, it's a different kind of burger, not the smash burger. I don't know if they serve a smash burger, but it's the big one. They just do a great job. I've never not had a really good meal at O'Connell's. They'll be with us Thursday. They're a great Kuna customer. So John Parker will be in the house on Thursday.
I'm really excited for that conversation. I still remember being a young reporter and new in St. Louis, aged 24. So that was, 33 plus years ago. And Walt Williamson, one of the great photographers from Channel 2 and a real character, very, very fun, interesting St. Louis guy. And maybe I'd been here, let's say 6 months, and he was shocked and dismayed that I had yet to try what it was his opinion. And he's a Chicago guy, and he said it was better than any burger in Chicago. I had yet to try the O'Connell's Pub Burger, and so we went there for lunch. Of course, I think Walt had himself a little beer at that lunchtime because that was back in the day when photographers could have a little bit of
concept, isn't it? Photographers having beer in the middle of the day.
Do you remember that?
I don't, but it doesn't surprise me. Yeah. In fact, when I think of some of the early photographers, I could picture that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm not. It was definitely on its way out, just like smoking at your desk was on its way out during those days. But it still was happening from some of the. John Alba wasn't really following those rules of not smoking at your desk or not drinking
at
lunch.
Allowed, but he did it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. We were just starting to say you had to go outside the building to smoke, and it was considered pretty egregious by some of those old school smokers in the newsroom.
But in fact, we'll probably make it a topic tomorrow. But the best hamburgers in St. Louis, it's definitely got to be on the list.
And what's coming up on the press box tonight?
Okay, we're going to have the smooth, not the slop, but Howard Richards and Craig Riggins, longtime radio personality. It's a show that was pretty popular at KFNS. We'll be talking a lot of Mizzou football because I know that's on the minds of many on this Monday, where Mizzou just blew a golden opportunity to beat one of the great teams in America. But they still have half their season left. And just think about this, Jill. If Mizzou goes on the next stretch, like they just went on this stretch, that means they won't lose another game at home for 735 days.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the hostages were 738, I believe. 735 days to the last time they lost a game in Columbia. So overall, Eli Drinkwitz, you're doing a heck of a job.
That is for sure. Of course, the matchup is Auburn next week. Do you guys talk about the fact that, of course, Coach Drink's name is on the list potentially for a new coaching opportunity in Auburn that we definitely think is a bad idea for him to take?
I think he'll be on their list. He has some roots there, and they're looking for guys who've won in the SEC, and that's what he has done. But I think if Auburn were to make the offer, Mizzou would match it. And I think he knows he's so far into this now. He's got this thing up and running. Why would you go?
I am curious, as you're packing up, getting ready to go on to your second job of the day over at 5 on Your Side, why your golf glove was just out? Were you just kind of testing it on your hand just to kind of see if it still fits while we're here?
I have no idea how my golf glove got in my briefcase. But now that it's here, maybe I should hit a few balls before I go.
I noticed you got this. We lost you for just a second because your eyes kind of went off in dreamland. Your eyebrows went up. It was kind of like an attractive woman walked by. You looked at your golf glove with great love and adoration there for a couple minutes.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that first part, but yep. All right, that'll do it for this edition of the program. Carney Buck next. We'll be back in 22.
Dr. Joe, it can get very confusing, but the one thing we need to know is GLP-1, right? That's the magic cure.
Yeah, they're on the med, and these medications are used, these GLP-1s, for reducing inflammation in your body. I get so many folks that are like, wow, I don't have the knee pain. I don't have the...
Because once you start losing weight, all these other things naturally happen to you in a positive way. Not just talk about the deals for KTRS listeners at stlmedweightloss.com.
All KTRS listeners, they get $50 to $100 off their first month. And what's beautiful about it, too, hey, I get it. The economy, what we just had, guys, things are difficult right now, but we make the plan work for you. We have financing options. We